Hello everyone and welcome to the first devlog of my second game that doesn't have a name yet. If you are new to my channel, I normally make short, informative videos about specific game dev topics. But now that I am starting the work on my second game, I figured you might also be interested in seeing what the game making process looks like for me from the very beginning until the game is finished. I am thinking of doing these devlogs every 2 weeks and then make my normal videos on the other weeks. I'll try to keep these devlogs kind of relaxed, focusing on showing what I have done and what's on my mind at that point. I'll also aim to highlight if there was something that I struggled with and then how I solved it. The theme of this first devlog is getting ready to start the actual work. My first and probably the hardest task was coming up with the game idea, or actually choosing the game idea. I have this document where I store all my ideas as soon as they come to my mind. So far there are probably around 100 ideas in there, so I had to go through all of them and pick the most promising one that I would dedicate my next year or so to. I wanted to stick to a relatively small idea that wouldn't take me longer than a year to finish. By the way, funny side story. My wife was going through the ideas with me and she saw this one game I had titled 4D Chess or something. The name was kind of just to signify that the game would be overly complex or something like that. She said that, "At least not that one." Curiously, I asked why, and she said that, "Well, because so far you have just worked on a 2D game. You should at max attempt a 3D game, so it would be an increase of just 1D. She thought 4D might be too challenging for me at this point. Well, she has a good point, so I guess I'll just stick to 2 or 3 dimensions with this game. Anyway, to help with choosing the idea, I even came up with this game idea comparison sheet where I could rank my top ideas based on different factors that I figured would have an effect on how successful the game will be. At the bottom, the sheet will then give a total score to each idea. I can then compare this score with other ideas and come to an easy objective conclusion. Right? Well, no. I am not sure if this sheet was actually that helpful, as all the formulas in it are subjective, and I am likely to just start fidgeting with the numbers until the idea I am liking the most at that moment ends up on the top. Unsurprisingly, game number 1 that I have been thinking about the most won by a slight margin. So that is the one it will be. I am not convinced that this is my best idea, especially in the commercial sense, as I feel like it's not necessarily so easily marketable. But I have been thinking about the idea so much that if I picked any other idea, I probably still wouldn't be able to get this game number 1 out of my head. So game number 1 it is, and I hope it will be a great success. So, what is the idea? It is actually just a game mechanic that I will build the game around. I don't know if you have heard about this board game called Castles of the Mad King Ludwig, but it's a great board game that we like to play from time to time with my wife. It's actually our favorite one. It has this game mechanic of building a castle piece by placing different rooms next to each other. Each room increases your points, but you can get more points by placing the rooms optimally. For example, placing a bedroom next to a dining room and not next to a music room that would prevent you from sleeping. So the fun comes from trying to optimize how you would place the rooms. This is the basic mechanic I will start with and then expand the idea where I think the fun is. I don't like to fully define the game at this point, so I can leave plenty of room for innovation during the development process. Before I start working on the game, I also wanted to set some personal goals for myself. I am not setting them in stone as I will go wherever the idea takes me, but the first goal I came up with was to learn how to handle vector art in Unity. Mortal Glory was fully done in pixel art, so now I would like to see how different it is with vector art. I like the idea of being able to scale the game at will and not worry about the art getting distorted. My second goal is to learn how to do some cool visual effects in Unity. Mortal Glory didn't have any, and I feel like it was a limiting factor in many cases when I didn't want to dedicate the time to learn how to do effects like that. The third goal is related to the first one, but I would like to have a game that is easily scalable and could be easily ported to mobile platforms also. The fourth and final goal is to be able to do this devlogging efficiently. I mentioned in one of my recent videos that making videos for YouTube takes a lot of time. I want to dedicate most of my time to making games, so I will need to come up with ways to make the whole video making process more efficient. That is why I will try to have these devlogs be more relaxed without so much editing and just focusing on me talking through what is going on. I have also been thinking that getting an editor for the videos might be something that could improve my workflow a lot, so I'll probably look into that at some point also. I also wanted to set some goals for the schedule of the game. I am not yet sure how wide the scope will be, as I am starting with just the main game mechanic. I will aim to narrow down the scope in the coming months, but at this point I am thinking that I want to finish the game within 1 year, so by April 2022. If I am able to do it in 9 months like Mortal Glory, that's even better, and if it's taking a bit longer, I would want to finish it at the latest within 15 months, so by latest in July of 2022. To guide my workflow, I started a new Trello board for my game. I listed some of the basic features I will need to implement to be able to add the basic mechanic of placing rooms to my game. I also listed a few others that came to my mind, but I am not trying to list everything there in the beginning. I think this should do just fine to get me started, and I will then keep adding more things as they come to my mind. As my next preparation task, I downloaded the latest long-term support version of Unity that I will be using for the whole project. I don't like updating anything during the project, so the game will live in just this Unity version unless there comes a desperate need to do an update. The game will be 2D, so I chose that as the project preset, and then I went ahead and added some assets to my project that I know I will be using. Click to bind for easy key remapping. Easy save for easy saving. I2 localization for the localization. Odin for workflow improvements that I will probably forget to use. TextMesh Pro for smooth text. And then I also added GIF Creator to try out if I could get some easy GIFs. I tried it with Mortal Glory, but for some reason it wasn't working that well for me back then. I will give it a new try with this project, as being able to create GIFs fast is really helpful for the marketing efforts. Then I also set up my time tracker. I talked about it previously in my development tools video. So I have this small Python script that allows me to quickly log my hours into a CSV file. I now made some improvements to it, like being able to add comments and improving the CSV formatting. After this, I set it up for my new project. To test it, I logged the hours I have spent so far. Seems to be working. I will be using the data to make better time estimates for my future projects. And I will also be sharing it with you in these devlogs, so you can get a better idea how much time everything took. This is everything I have done so far. The table is now set and I am ready to begin.